Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo, and in this episode we're going to do something a little different. We're going to look at my top 10 solo games that are lighter. So I've done a video on my top 10 solo games to refine your collection from I would say a more heavy or a medium size. This one I want to focus specifically on the lighter side of solo gaming. And also I would say the lighter and shorter, or maybe lighter and more portable side. Okay, so I'm going to go through 10 games that I think equip you if your idea of gaming is just a little bit lighter than some of the heavier things that I did in my previous video, like 1862 or Fields of Arle or something like that, which those are definitely beefier, longer, heavier games. So let's start with something light. Let's start with the light list, okay? So the first one I'm going to go with is a game that's been out for a while, and there's actually 3 of them. The Valley of the Kings card games. These guys right here, and really it doesn't matter which one you get. There's so much overlap. I would say my favorite is probably the Afterlife one, which was the second one released, but there's the Valley of the Kings, which is the original, then the Afterlife, and then the Last Rites. So this game, this doesn't really help. I always complained a little bit about the back of the box, but this game was all about a deck manipulation. You were trying to find a way to bury or put out of play every single card that came up. You're trying to do that with set collection and make these sets of the different things that you're playing with. And I found it very fun. Each of them has actions on them. Each of the cards does different things. They allow you to go back into the discard pile or buy cards from the center of this pyramid. And as you play the game, this pyramid would kind of collapse and you would be able to buy cards from different spots, etc. Most of the time it was from the bottom. The solo mode was really good. It was a lot of fun to play, but I would say this is a lighter game because not only that, it's very travel friendly. This can easily go anywhere with you. It's so small, but it provides some good depth here. There are some great decisions to make. It is definitely a fun deck building game, and it was the first one I thought of when I thought of, okay, let's think of some light games that people might appreciate just from a solo perspective. So that's Valley of the Kings. That would be my number 10. My number 9 is a pretty new game. It's new at the time of this video. I mean, it's probably, what, a year and a half old now, maybe 2 at the tops, but Cascadia. Cascadia, and as you can see on the box here, is a game about pattern building. You're drawing, and you draw these cards out, and I have a video review of this game as well. And these set up the different scoring conditions of each of the 5 categories of tile, or not of tile, but pardon me, of animal. And the animals go on different tiles, and you're trying to maximize your score based on the geometry of where you're laying these things down, the way you put the animals together. And the best thing about this is that it comes with I think it's 20, I'm almost sure it's 20 different scenarios that you can play solo that kind of build upon one another, that change the way that you're playing the game. So there's a lot to explore here. It's a very fun game, but it is not that complicated. It's very easy to put down, play, and enjoy, and you could definitely play this in, 30 minutes tops, including setup. So that's my number 9. I like it a lot. It's also not too big, so it's pretty portable. My next one, my number 8, is, it says Troyes dice, but I think it's supposed to be pronounced Trois. But this game, Troyes dice, Trois dice, however you want to look at it, say it. This was a very fun sleeper hit for me. First of all, it's a roll and write. Second of all, it provides some very interesting choices as you try to maximize your score. So you're rolling the dice and you're kind of arranging them on a portion of a board that goes around in a circle. And the way that the dice work are kind of a little multifunctional. Okay, so the first thing is that, the higher the number, of course, the better off the dice usually are. But depending on the color they're on, depends on which track you use to score and to fill things in and start building up what you're trying to do. And the bottom track gives you a lot of ways to maximize the categories. The middle track helps with your economy. The top track helps prevent this corruption die or whatever from striking back and Xing things out. It is a great solo game. You can play, it's multiplayer solitaire if you play it with other people, but I find it just really fun. Solo, very light, very easy to play in 20 minutes tops. The setup is almost negligible, and again, small, fits in any suitcase wherever you want to go. Okay, that was number 8. Number 7, pretty new game also, Three Sisters. Three Sisters is another roll and write. In this case, it's got a little bit of a board to it. So you're rolling these dice, and that kind of sets up the actions that you're going to have access to. And what you're trying to do is build up a little farm that has different crops on it and different specialties. And then the actions that you can take help you to improve that farm. The game is it's broad enough where you can try many different strategies depending on what you want to do. You can invest heavily into certain types of crop farming. You can go on the periphery to try to get these different, I think the perennials, I think that you can get. You can invest in specialties to make certain things like maybe your orchard do well, or maybe your beehives do well, or maybe you get bonus points depending on how much the different types of fruit you get, or whatever the situation is. There's a lot going on in this box, but it's really pretty quick to play. 30 minutes. The solo game plays very well, just as good as the multiplayer game. Basically, the solo game kind of denies you spots. It knocks spots out from under you so that you can't go there, providing you some pressure and some tension to say, if I really want to get something, I need to get it done before it gets taken away from me. So I really like this one, Three Sisters, and I appreciate it more than some of the other ones that were built by this game. I think the other one they did was the fishing game. And I can't remember what it was called, unfortunately. I used to have that, but I found that game almost too balanced, where it was almost like you could do anything you wanted and it would all come out the same. This one definitely is different than that. You can focus on different strategies, but it's a light experience, not very rules heavy, and again, very portable. All right, so that was my number 7. Number 6, Long Shot, the dice game. Again, another new one. And the reason I guess the reason I see a lot of new ones out here is because a lot of these games replaced older ones, which I'll talk a little bit about at the end for me from a light standpoint. I don't keep a ton of light games in my collection because I'm mostly into the heavier or the medium-sized games, but I definitely have a place for little light games. And this one is one of them. So this plays 1 to 8 players, but I think that, so this is basically like a gambling / push your luck kind of game. And it's gambling because what you're trying to do is you're placing bets from the money that you have on different horses in order for them to win, in order for them to place, or to get, first, second, or third. You can also buy the horses, and they give you special abilities. And in this game, there are 3 decks of, 3 horse decks. So there's a lot of variety in what you want to do. The special abilities and other things that you can buy on the horse helps. But it is, again, it's a roll and write. The interesting thing about this one, though, is that everybody has this player board here, and it's kind of like a bet card. You can place your bets, but you also can invest in different abilities for the horse that makes it either more likely to pay out while you're playing the game, or to move forward, I should say, not pay out. More likely to move forward, or it gives you some flexibility of how you can, enhance its chances to win. There's a lot going on in this game, and what's great is the solo has a really, it's a chaotic but very effective solo opponent you play against. And this game there's a ton of chaos in this game, okay? It is a very light game in that regard, in the fact that you've just basically, you're gambling on horses. When has that ever been a sure thing? But it is not a game where your choices don't matter. They absolutely do. You can have a strategy, you pick what you want to do, you can figure out how you want to be tactical, whether you want to invest in the longer shot horses with better odds, or you want to just pump the other ones and try to win with them that are more likely to come up. So there's a lot going on here, and I really do enjoy Long Shot, the dice game. I like it solo, and I've, as it stands, I've also played it multiplayer with people, and they seem to like it as well. But the solo, even though it's a 1 to 8, and you think it'd be very tough to experience that, the interaction here is still really good. And this, when you play it, probably 30-minute game also, very easy to travel with. So that is my top. That's my number 6. Number 5 is an interesting choice. And I say that because I was toying with this, if it would fit or not in this category, because it's maybe a little bit more on the medium side than light. However, I still think that Dinosaur Island Roar and Write is worth your look as far as a simpler game. It is a roll and write game, and it's very portable. Again, I would say it is. This game is probably 30 to 45 minutes, but it feels like you get a complete and full experience. There is just so many cool things going on. You're basically, the mechanics are, you've got a lot of freedom to design and build your park in a certain way to be able to put certain dinosaurs in it, which will help you score points. And there's just a lot of options you have. Each game, you're going to deal out 3 of these cards and 3 of these cards. And there's a big deck of each of them. So they're going to be different every time you play. There's just a lot going on here. And I would say that this is, again, a game that solos extremely well. I had no issues playing it by myself with regards to feeling like it was competitive. It was a real treat to play this game, and I really like it. And it's going to stay with me for a long time. So this one, worth checking out if you haven't. And I know it has some bigger brother games in it, the other Dinosaur Island ones. I haven't played those. I know they have some of them are solo as well. But I feel like this one has taken, what I've heard is it's taken the best parts of that game and kind of put it into a roll and write, which makes it a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I recommend you check it out. Now, number 4. Number 4 is a whole host of games. And you can tell I like it because I bought the entire collected edition, but Railroad Inc. So Railroad Inc. in this collector's edition, you can see the different styles here. These you easily find in stores, the red and the blue. You'll also find the yellow and the green. You might have to work a little bit harder for this purple pack, but this game is just fantastic. I could play this game over and over, and it's 15 minutes a game, maybe 20. You could take one of these, obviously, when you buy it. You don't have to buy the whole big thing here. You could take one with you, throw it in a suitcase, put it in the lunch bag, play it at work. It's just so easy to play, so fun. And what you're doing is, in 6 or 7 rounds, you're basically rolling dice and trying to fit roads and railroads to connect these different places on the board. You're also going to score points for different conditions that you use, different goals that you make. If you play with some of the expansions, there'll be some other expansion dice, like you can see here, like the rivers and the lakes. Those do different things. Really simple game, very easy to play, super light, but also super enjoyable. It's just fun to roll the dice, try to figure it out, make the puzzle. I've probably played games of this whole thing over 100 times. And that says something if you think about how many games that you see in the background. I have a lot of choices. I choose Railroad Inc. a lot because it's just enjoyable. It's just fun to play. It's easy to play. It's easy to teach if you want, but it's multiplayer solitaire. There's no advantage whatsoever playing with other people, except in the solo mode, you're just beating your own score. That's all there is. There's no win condition there. It's just beat your own score. So if you want more than that, you're not going to get it in this game. But still, it's just fun to do that. It's fun to see how you can do. And I think there are a couple of levels in the rule book to tell you, what is a good score and what isn't. But it's a beat your own score. I still just really like it. Okay, now we get to my top 3. And I think that some of these you've definitely heard of, and maybe one of them you haven't. And the one that you might have not heard of, I'm going to bring out right now. My number 3, it is the Bullet Star, Bullet Heart, and Bullet Orange. Any of those, Bullet Orange is a non-standalone expansion, but the Bullet Star or the Bullet Heart are standalone games. This game is the most unique game I have played in my light collection, I think, because it takes the bullet aspect of these bullet time games that are very popular in some video game cultures and video game genres, and it puts it into a board game in a way that is really special. It takes about 15 minutes to play. It is the lightest game I have here. You basically draw a bullet out of the bag and put it onto a pattern, okay? And put it onto your incoming. It's your incoming board, right? And if it gets too far down, you take a hit. If you take usually 4 hits, you die and you lose. You're trying to beat a boss by sending bullets, by making patterns of certain types to the boss to try to destroy the boss. And the boss has several shield levels, and when you destroy each level, something usually happens. Each of the people that you play, the characters, are very, very diverse. They're very unique. They have different patterns. They have different special abilities. Even though it is a light game mechanically, there is a ton to explore in these because each of the characters has a boss version and a character version you can play. And they're very diverse. So the Bullet Heart is a lot easier to play. It's a little more straightforward. The Bullet Star gets very wonky, I would say. It's a lot more chaotic as far as, wow, that ability is really off the wall, or this one's really different. So if I was going to make a recommendation, I'd say start with the Heart. Just because it's easier to get into. But I found these games to be extremely enjoyable. And one of the few games I could play back to back to back, a couple in a row, because it's a 15-minute game. The setup on this is a little bit longer just because you have to get the stuff out and you have to decide which one you're going to do. It's only long because I always end up thinking, okay, well, do I want to take this character versus this character, or maybe this character versus this one? There's just so many good choices there, and then you set it up, and then it plays really fast once you're ready to play. 15 minutes, you've either won or you lost. Usually, and it's pretty tough. Usually, you have to work to win this game. But I would say it's on the lighter fare and very easy to play. Now, it is not the most, this is the biggest box in the light, small, quote-unquote, list I have here. So this one is not as travel-friendly for sure. It's a little bigger, but I think it is definitely worth it when it comes to light games that are fast that you can set up and play. And once you're familiar with the characters, there's not a whole lot else to learn. You know how the character plays. You know the way it works. Then it's about trying to manage the chaos of the bullets coming in and how that happens. I think it's a lot of fun. That's my number 3. My number 2. This was a very nice surprise. Welcome to the Moon. And it was a nice surprise because I like Welcome to. I never played the Welcome to Vegas one. But this one, when I saw it, this has 8 different boards in it. Basically 8 different games with the same rules. Each board plays differently. There's a full-fledged campaign with a choose-your-own-adventure kind of feel to it. This is a fantastic game. It's just fantastic. From a solo standpoint, it's great. I don't think you need to play, because you've got win conditions built in right here, and the solo aspect of it is extremely easy to handle. You basically just discarding cards that you don't choose into this other hand. You know what's going in there. Some of those cards will score more or less, so there's some tension on which cards you want to give the opponent because they'll score more, versus which ones you need to complete your various missions. And like I said, there's 8 different games in here. So when you look at it, you just have all these very cool, different boards with all sorts of stuff to learn, all sorts of different modes to play. It's a gem. It is an absolute gem. I think it is one that should be in every person's solo collection just from that standpoint, just because there's so much content. And it's just a lot of fun to, I think I already showed that one, but you get the point. There's just a lot in here that you can try out. And the great thing is that, yeah, you have to learn the rules of each of the boards each time, but the actual mechanics are the whole gameplay is the same. You're choosing different cards. The cards pair up together to make a choice of which you can fill in this roll and write, or this flip and write, I guess you could say. And that's how it plays, but it's a 25-minute game. It's quite portable. It's very easy to take from one place to another, and it's really pretty quick to set up. And once you've learned the 8 different games in there, or you don't have to necessarily even play the campaign. You just might find one you like and play that a bunch. So there's just so much flexibility in that box. It was really worth the money, really worth the time to play it, and just been a very, very engaging game. My final and my top number 1 light game is almost not that light, but I think it is, and that's Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall is probably my favorite roll and write I've ever had. It's not really a roll and write again. It's like a flip and write. But this one is just so much fun. Not only is it very quick to set up, it does take about an hour to play, but it's extremely portable. This is small. There is no advantage to playing this multiplayer or solo. The solo is just fine. You've got some win conditions. You've got a easy, medium, and hard game. I definitely recommend only playing the easy game once, because the medium and hard game provide the tension, which makes the game much more enjoyable. And what you're basically trying to do in this game is you are trying to figure out how to, I'm going to take these out here, how to maximize your two different boards. And you've got one side of the board, which is your wall. And in your wall, you're trying to basically build these things, you know, make them bigger. As you do that, you get more abilities, you get more things to unlock other parts of your board. You can focus on different aspects of the game. And then on the other side is where I would say all of the variety and the strategic choices come in. I'll just get this out here. The other side has all of the different things you can invest in. So each of these different tracks are things that you can either dabble in or invest heavily in. And they all allow you to do different things. And depending on the game you try, you can point yourself in different directions, try different strategies, focus on different abilities or different types of people. So if you want to try like this mini game of traders, you can focus here. That'll unlock some of these buildings. It'll help you score for getting different trade goods, and the goods that you get are ones that come up in the cards. If you want to focus on this little gladiator mini game, you can build up some gladiators and send them out to fight and score points. You could focus just on protecting people. Like this bottom track helps you protect from the invaders and such, the pickets, I think it is, or picks, pardon me. It's just really, really, really good game. I think you look at these. I mean, I've played it about 10 times. You see, I have so much more sheets wise. There's tons. And eventually, if I ever get to the bottom, which I'd be shocked, I could just laminate the bottom ones so I could have a dry erase situation there. But it's a great game. It would be, to me, it's my favorite roll and write game that's out there from a just a bit heavier side. It is not going to be quite as easy as the mindless, I shouldn't say mindless because that's not what I mean. I'll say the simple game you can just set up and kind of play and talk, and it definitely requires some thought here. But it's worth it. I think it's worth it. It's even though I would still say it's on the lighter side only because I didn't know where to put it in. I mean, it feels to me like a game that's a little bit lighter. It looks overwhelming. When you see these things, you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? There's so many choices. But it really isn't. You're after you play a game, you'll see how I invest in these things. It allows me to mark more things off, and it has this nice cascading effect. It is also one of the few games that I can play. I can go months without touching it, come back to it, and remember how to play it, which is just very, very nice. So very easy once you've learned about all of the things that what they do. They pretty much explain what's happening right there. So that is my top 10. I hope you liked it. Now, I had a couple things. Number one, there are a lot of people, and I would agree with them, that like the wallet games, okay? And one of the games that actually, I'm not going to put it in. Sprawlopolis, pardon me, or Agropolis. Those are a lot of fun games. So I didn't put in the button shy games only because they would have been my number 11. I was looking at it, I'm like, where would I put this in there? And I also just picked up a new one that I haven't played yet, that the Rove one, which is strictly a solo game, which I want to try. Those games are definitely like special mention. They're great because you put that in your pocket. You can play that pretty much anywhere. It's a ton of fun. And they present a lot of fun choices too. So that didn't make my top 10, but it's definitely worth mentioning. The other one that I think is worth mentioning, which didn't make my top 10, only because I have it in app form, is all the Ganz von Clever style games. Those three types, there's in the app you can get all three versions, plus they have alternate boards. I think those are awesome games. And when it comes to a game that you can play quickly and anywhere, I do have the physical version of the first one. That would be like my number 12. But I have them in app form, and you could play them so quickly and so easily. They play really well solo, and they're just fun. They're fun. Those are games I think that are a little bit more like, I can play and kind of carry on a conversation. Unlike the Hadrians Wall that I just showed you, that's the kind of game I think would be more on the very light side, but very engaging and still fun to play, but you can kind of play over and over again simply. So that is my list of top 10 light-ish solo games. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. Feel free to leave any comments you want in the comment section. Tell me what you think I missed. Some special games that you like that are lighter. There's a ton of them, right? And a lot of the games that I have here may have replaced other light games. Maybe they pushed ones out. And so, you know, I'm sure you have a bunch of those that you would like to share with me, and I'm happy to hear about them. So thanks again for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Whatever you play in the future, hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.